Hey everybody, from Beantown to your town. This is the
Beantown Beatdown.
That's right. Matthew Burris here.
Gabe Shamus, also coming at you from Beantown.
Yep, and cracking open some Arizona cherry juice Ricky sparkling cherry lime here because I didn't have no money for alcohol this week, but next week.
Next week, exactly. Always next week.
Yeah. Plus, I like this, So cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Well, that's good.
Awesome.
Right.
Headlines.
So, yeah, we're gonna get into some headlines right now.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, Kevin Randleman died of a heart attack, and that's pretty sad. And former UFC heavyweight champion, a two-time NCAA champion in amateur wrestling, and he fought in the UFC, he fought in Pride, he fought his last remaining years at Strikeforce, and of course. And it was just, it's really sad. We lost a great legend, and
exactly.
Known for so many great moments. Of course, the biggest moment is when he had that fight with Fedor Emelianenko and gave him a German suplex and dumped him on his head.
Oh man,
yeah,
that must have been something.
Yeah, Fedor came back and won the fight, and it's amazing how Fedor is still alive.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we put a tribute up for him on our Facebook page there.
That's right. Go to facebook.com/Beantown Beatdown TV1, is it? Or
no, I think it's just that.
Yeah, just go to facebook.com/Beantown Beatdown, and you'll see our picture up for him. Also, tomorrow night, Bellator 149. We double main event first. Kimbo Slice versus Dada 500, and then Royce Gracie versus Ken Shamrock Part 3. Actually, that night I'm gonna be DVRing that fight because I'm gonna be going to karaoke looking for some chicks.
Yeah.
But I am gonna DVR that fight.
Okay, gotcha.
And
yeah, you gotta weigh your watching the fight life with your actually going out and getting some action in life.
Oh yes, exactly. Daddy needs some pussy. But let me tell you something. Shamrock and Gracie, after this fight, those two need to sit down somewhere. I'm sorry. Even if Shamrock does win, finally.
Right.
I mean, what? He's going to start fighting guys in the top 10, top 5? No. And neither is Royce. Yes, they are pioneers of MMA. They fought in the first UFC where Royce won. Then they had the rematch at UFC 5, which went to a draw. And they really were the first rivalry of mixed martial arts.
Right.
But after this fight, it should be done. And if you want to hear more of my opinion on it, you can go to facebook.com/the Beantown Beatdown, where I do another blog for Fighting Words.
Right.
I actually called it Grudge Match 2, the blog, because it is a sequel to the Grudge Match movie with Stallone and De Niro, except the jokes are not funny.
Right, exactly. And you've talked about this before on a previous episode, that that this is kind of like the Titans, but it's also like the Titans past their prime. It's this Clash of the Titans, but it's been a long time since they had their legendary days.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And last but not least, news on Ronda Rousey. Well, first off, Ronda Rousey is on the cover of one of three Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition magazines. That's out now. I'm gonna go get it while I'm out on Friday. Yeah, she got body painted for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she got body painted for. Yeah, it's all her bathing suit is all body painted. And
that's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind
of a lot of guys out there like that.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of amazing because I saw the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition special on TNT, and Rebecca Romaine Stamos was hosting with Nick Cannon, and Rebecca Romaine Stamos actually pioneered that. She was one of the first women to do that.
Interesting.
Now body painting bikinis is the new thing.
Right, exactly. And that's an interesting thing. And why not Ronda? Because she's been in movies, she's been in fights, she's been on SNL.
She's a hot piece of ass.
Yeah, exactly. She really has branched out into every entertainment genre. So this was just the next one. And yeah, I think she's so interesting to me because she's like she really could have been a magazine model. She could have been an actress. She could have been one of those things that's in reality safer, but it also wouldn't have had the same glory. And obviously her mother being this judo champion is what put her in the direction that she's on. But she could have been just liked for her looks, but she also has her looks and her fighting ability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, she was on Ellen, and it was just. I mean, I saw a preview of it one time on Kellen Cowherd's The Herd, and she's just talking about how in that moment when she was in the hospital, she wanted to commit suicide. And, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, you really can't blame her. I mean, because, like, the way she got beat, I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, she got humiliated. She, I mean, punch after punch, and that elbow strike by Holly Holmes, I mean...
Right.
And, of course, her lip was split open, and she couldn't bite down on an apple for months. And she says that what kept her from committing suicide was that she looked up at her boyfriend, Travis Brown, and who was also a UFC fighter, and, he was there for her, and she was just like... I need to stay alive and have his babies. Granted, I wish she was having my babies, but
once again, yes.
Yes.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, like, that's something we don't think about in like almost every fighting movie. There is that moment where you're just down and out. It just seems like it's all over, and isn't it terrible, and the world is whatever. Like, I mean, the thing is, that's why we like them, because there's a big, there's a big low moment, and then there's usually a comeback and that type of thing, and that's kind of the name of the game, the territory. But it's the movie doesn't end at the low moment. In fact, it's the low moment that defines the rest of the movie later. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. And of course, since then, Brock Lesnar came out on SportsCenter saying that she has to learn how to handle losing, and
yeah, we talked about that too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like another UFC veteran, Dan Severn. He once said, if you had never lost, how will you truly appreciate winning?
Yeah.
And also, and of course, the people at TMZ, they've been saying like, I don't know if she's mentally stable. There's kind of this thing. Personally, I think she is mentally stable now because it's been months.
Yeah.
She's got her boyfriend there, and
yep.
she's got the movie, which has been pushed back to May. And
interesting.
Yeah, and by movie I meant Roadhouse, the remake that's been pushed back to May.
Right.
And so it's and she's still, and now she's got the Sports Illustrated thing. So I think she is mentally stable.
Yeah.
And since then in fact, on TMZ, they not too long ago they caught her at the gym. She was hitting the bag and stuff like that. So it looks like I think she's got her head on straight.
Yeah, exactly. And what I've seen from her, she looks completely fine. And we talked about how they were really good to her on SNL and stuff like that, as well. And like I said, that when we talked about it, like she the only mention of her losing was actually herself on her own terms, which was good of them to allow that. And
yes, exactly. And
yeah, she seemed really put together,
Oh yes, she was. Yes, yeah, you gotta applaud her for that.
Yeah.
And also, just another quick thing. Also on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, because it's 3 covers, it's a special edition. There's Ronda Rousey. There's Ashley Graham, the plus size model, who is fine as hell. And then there's this blonde girl. I still don't know. I forgot her name. Damn it! But
still don't know her name. Okay. I wonder how that works. Is it like behind each other, like one cover and then the next cover behind it when you flip the page, or is it like?
No, it's just like there's 3 issues and like one issue and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. 3 different issues that are put out at the same time.
Yeah. Personally, and let me tell you something. I've looked at the cover of both those things, and let me tell you something. It's so good, I'm going to get both the Ashley and the Ronda version. I'm getting 2 versions.
Right.
I know it sounds like I'm wasting my money, but I don't give a fuck.
Right, exactly.
Alright, so now we're going to go into Macho Doesn't Mean This.
And yeah, I'm actually going to change it back. I kind of knew this was coming eventually. I'm going to change it back to Macho Doesn't Mean That. Remember, you still haven't gotten used to it. It was called Get Over Yourself.
Oh, this is Get Over Yourself.
Right,
okay,
exactly. But thank you for saying it that way, because I'm actually officially changing it back for now. Macho Doesn't Mean That. Because the subject matter today is very interesting. So it's actually kind of tied into the headlines, and I was wondering if you were going to mention it or just let me talk about it.
You can talk about it. I'll chime in.
Right, exactly. So, breaking news today in the last 2 days, that, Manny Pacquiao, the legend that we've talked, boxing legend we've talked about on this show, he made very derogatory remarks about gay people, about same-sex couples, and it was on a local. It was on a local show in the Philippines, but it got picked up first by TMZ, I think, and then just spread around the world, and it was a huge backlash. So what he I'm going to try and do this in order because I had to kind of hear the story backwards. I heard the newest development as of yesterday, and then I had tried to hear his apology for the comments, and then I tried to get all the way back to his original comment.
Oh yeah. Also, I texted you when I was telling you about this on TMZ Live.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So he watched it on TMZ Live, told me about it. Yeah. So anyway, so Manny Pacquiao, he's also still running for president of the Philippines. Congress in the Philippines, yeah. So he's a politician too, which is doubly interesting here. And he said that gay people are basically worse than animals because at least the gist of it was at least animals can differentiate between the sexes. As if that's our problem, as if we can't tell, that another man is a man, and that's why we're doing it. Anyways, and yeah, basically, and basically, obviously, the connotation is still the same. A lot of anti-gay people, a lot of bigoted people use the reference of animals because they want to defame us by saying it's all about sex, or just uncomfortable with the idea of sex and especially between the same sex. Anyway. So he said that, and then it was picked up, like I said, all around the world. A lot of people comment on it. There was a big petition for Nike being one of his biggest supportters, his biggest endorsement. Yeah, he's one of the bigger endorsers of Nike, and therefore a spokesman. And so anyway, there was a big petition for Nike to cut ties with him, and perhaps because of that, perhaps because of all the media reaction, Nike did in fact swiftly, the next day, cut ties with him.
Well, no. What happened was I found out about it 2 days ago.
Right.
And then yesterday they came the apology. Then they came the apology.
Oh yeah, so he apologized. He said he didn't mean to offend the LGBT community, but that was pretty much it. That's all
yesterday there was a talks of saying that Nike was going to drop them.
Right.
Yeah, because they talked about it on TMZ Live, and they said it was just going to be a matter of time. They said they're going to wait. They said the rumor was that they were gonna drop him sometime, and then.
So wait, you're saying that they actually talked to TMZ first and said that they're considering...
TMZ
found them.
Yeah, found them, and they were talking to I guess they were talking to his people.
Right.
And then after that, they did like 3 more stories, and then as they were gonna go into the Janelle Monáe story about one of her friends being inappropriately touched at a club, it said breaking news, and they said Nike has officially fired Manny Pacquiao, and they said that Manny's team were like, well, listen, they were like, no, he apologized, and Manny's a good guy, but they were just like, nah, they just cut him, and so and I texted you that too.
You did.
Oh, yeah.
So you I think it was like, I think you had just maybe you had just gotten around to texting me. You had just gotten around to texting me like 15 minutes before about his comments, and then you were like, "Oh, by the way, I just saw breaking that they officially fired him." So, yeah, that happened. Nike is a huge company, obviously, and they have a big reputation to protect. They have actually distanced themselves from other athletes in the past. Most recently, Adrian Peterson of the NFL.
Because he beat his kid.
Pretty badly.
With a tree branch.
Yep. So anyway, that type of stuff, they have taken action before, and now they did again with Manny. So yeah, I think that. I mean, obviously, there's just so many things going on with this. In the U.S., I think it's obviously more important that he's a athlete and he's a followed boxer and that type of thing. It was damn close to retirement too.
Well, yeah, he's got his last fight is the 3rd fight against Timothy Bradley in a couple of months. So,
right, exactly. So I mean, really, I mean that's like the very end, almost retirement. But I'm glad that he's facing this before he retires, because it's not as big a story after he retires. So obviously, like I said, in the U.S. it's obviously a bigger thing that he's this athlete. But the fact that he is a politician in the Philippines is, like I said, is also very important here. And we've been trying to keep our politicians we've been trying to hold them to account for all sorts of crazy things that have been happening on the campaign trail lately. So I think I think that it's a whole different sphere for the Filipino people, and it's actually been legal for at least a year, maybe 2. Same-sex marriage has been legal in the Philippines.
And I was talking with my mom about this, about his chances of winning the election. Is that I think right now it's split down the middle. It's 50-50 because. On one hand, Manny Pacquiao has done a lot for his country. Mm-hmm. With the basketball and the movies and helping out with poor people. And when you hear his background story, I mean, like I told you the background story of how his father one time had to kill the family dog just so that they could eat, and they actually ate the dog. Mm. And you look at where he came from then and to where he is now, being multiple-time weight division world boxing champion.
Right.
But at the same time, you have the Philippines, which is very tolerable of gays.
Yes.
I mean, it's very tolerable of gays. And as you said, they've had gay marriage for 2 years,
which is more than we can say for the U.S. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
We haven't officially said that gay marriage is legal across the country, except for that Supreme Court decision. And that, hasn't officially, I don't know if that's officially taken effect, but it basically, it was the most recent thing. It's only been a few months that we can say we've actually had marriage equality legal across the country.
Yeah. And of course, with that side, those Philippines, they're, the ones that are gay or the ones who aren't gay but support, gay marriage, they're going to be like, listen, I don't give a fuck what you've done for our country. You're going to, after what you said, fuck you. We're not going to, we're not gonna vote for you. We're not gonna watch your pay-per-views.
Right.
And let me tell you something. Had Nike, kept Manny Pacquiao on, there would be a lot of protest.
Yes.
There would be like, they would not be, people will not buy their sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
People are not going to buy their hats or their shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's bad for not only Nike, but that's going to be bad for Michael Jordan.
Yep.
That's going to be bad for LeBron James.
Yep.
That will be bad for Kobe Bryant, even though he's retiring.
Right.
But that is just going to be. That's going to be bad. There's going to be a whole lot of basketball players that'll be pissed off because people are going to be protesting, going, listen, we will not buy your sneakers, we will not buy your hats, your T-shirts, we will not buy anything Nike if you keep this man on.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what Nike has to think about, and it's part of the big cultural shift in the country. I may not like it, but part of the reason we've been so successful to change the dialogue around gay rights is because of the business community. Nike is a huge multinational company, and they have to think about exactly what you just said. If they kept him on, the amount of protests, the amount of backlash, the amount of boycotts. That's what the business community has to think about, and so the business community has been one of the pillars of making things more inclusive because they realize how bad exclusion is for business.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, if they had kept Manny on, would you be part of the boycotting Nike? Would you not buy anything Nike anymore?
Right. Well, as who was it? I think it was Larry Wilmore. When there was the Oscars so white thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Larry Wilmore said, the problem with all these black stars saying they're going to boycott the Oscars is boycott is a strong word for not going to a party you weren't invited to.
Oh, so in other words, you'd be like,
so I couldn't officially boycott them because I don't buy their stuff anyway, but I would organize the boycott for other people that normally would buy their stuff. Yes.
So you never bought anything Nike or?
Well, I wouldn't say never, but I can't say I wouldn't say never, but yeah, I'm not. I'm definitely not a regular customer, if a customer at all.
Oh, because Well, in the past, when you were younger and stuff, did you ever buy a pair of Jordans or Bo Jacksons or?
Yeah. I mean, not officially Jordans, but yeah, I definitely was into the shoes, and I definitely bought
you like the Air
more than a few pairs, yeah.
Or the Nike Air Force, you bought that, yeah. Yeah, because people are in the black community. Nikes are everything, especially Jordans.
Yes.
You don't want to step on a person's Jordans, especially if they're white. It'll be like do the right thing. Be like, yo, you stepped on my fucking Jordans, you motherfucker.
Yeah, it's on now. Exactly. So anyway, yeah, but I would be on the forefront of having other people boycott their stuff. And so anyway, I'm glad that they did, but yeah, for better or for worse, the business community has been, part of this whole cultural shift. Campbell's is a great company that, that was one of the ones that came out in support of social justice causes, and they had a whole list of what that means, and supporting gay rights and gay marriage was high on that list. And then any company that has, in my opinion, a bigoted stance has suffered the consequences. Chick-fil-A, that whole thing.
Well, yeah, because this is this is corporate America, and
right.
Also, let's not forget, Nike is a publicly owned company.
Right. That's exactly. That's the other thing. Publicly owned means that it is they're a, what's the word people use? Corporate citizen. I like that word, corporate citizen, even though I don't think corporate personhood should ever have been a concept. Corporate citizen, maybe because at least there's the idea that they should give back and they should respond to what the people demand, that type of thing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Citizen is part of a community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Michael Jordan will be pissed the most. Because his Air Jordan brand is part of Nike.
Right, exactly.
Those
so interdependent. So he's dependent on that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, exactly. And he made. Listen, I've seen him angry a few times during games and stuff like that. There have been times when you've seen him like yelling at players, and when he's on the bench, and you hear the stories of him getting on players in practice and in the locker rooms and stuff. But Michael Jordan, let me tell you something. In the public, he may look cool, calm, and collected. Especially because he owns his own brand. He's part of corporate America now.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, he's gonna, behind closed doors, if that thing had went down and there was a protest, Michael Jordan would be like, "What the fuck? This this little bitch ass motherfucker, he costing me my fucking money."
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, I'm glad for the response from Nike. I'm glad for the response from all sorts of people across the world, and yeah, it really I think the most shocking thing is not that Pacquiao is standing by his comments, but that what he actually said when after the whole Nike thing went down is he said I was telling truth to gay couples and blah blah, and so I respect their decision, Nike's decision to fire him, but I was telling my truth, and I'm something like the truth hurts, and I'm glad it was shocking to people.
This guy clearly has no business running a country.
No, he barely has any business running his own brand of boxing as a boxer. But yeah, no. So I mean, the thing about that is that it's just so it's like even more insulting than it sounds. It's actually like to say that the truth is shocking. I mean, yes, you're allowed to have that opinion. That
yes.
Your opinion is your opinion. You're allowed to say that you believe something is the truth, and that you're glad that the truth is shocking. But I mean, just think about what it's meant for gay people all across the world. All through time. That the truth about who we are, has gotten us killed more than a little bit, and even just a few decades ago, the truth about who you are coming out could have gotten you killed, no matter where you were, no matter what time, no matter whenever. Even in the United States 40 years ago, it would probably get you killed no matter what. So now we're at a place where it most likely won't get you killed in most places in the country, but we're still dealing with a world where, I mean, Uganda just barely didn't pass it's what we call kill the gays law. We have to remember this is a country in modern times, just a few years ago, and yes, we don't. Some people don't think of African countries as part of the world community, but you should. Exactly. You know what I mean? And this is a modern country that wants to be part of the League of Nations or whatever, and they were making a law that said that you could legally kill someone if you found out that they were gay.
Disgraceful.
Mm-hmm. That's back in the Dark Ages type stuff, and so yeah, that is just beyond disgraceful to say, I'm sorry, or I'm glad that the truth is shocking. Our truth about who we are and who we love has been shocking for many people across the country and across the world and across time. And, up until very recently, it has gotten us killed. And even in some places in the world today, it will still get you killed. Yeah, if someone finds out. So, don't talk to me about the truth and about the truth being shocking and the truth not being respected, because that's what we deal with all the time, every day.
Yeah, exactly. And, listen, Manny Pacquiao, as a boxer, as a fighter, multiple weight division world champion, I respect I still have a lot of respect for him, and I still like him as a boxer. But as a politician, as a human being, he has lost all my respect.
Right.
And going into this fight with Timothy Bradley, I've been thinking about should I root for him or not. I mean, that's still to be continued. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We're not quite at the bridge yet.
Right, exactly. And the last thing I do want to say is he like I said, there's the animals comment, truly disgraceful. And the thing that got me at the animals comment is he said, well, you don't, animals can differentiate, which is ludicrous in of itself. And like I said, we know that I know that my partner is a male, and I like him, and I like other men because they're men. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with that. But then also he said, you don't see this in nature, which is an argument I've heard before. That's, a lot of closed-minded people will say that. Well, if it is natural to be gay, why don't you see it in nature? The thing is, we do. I wish I was about to look up the author of this book, so I don't have the author's name, but find the book Biological Exuberance, and it's a huge, ginormous book this thick that talks all about every documented case of homosexual behavior and homosexual relations, really, within the animal community. So it actually does exist. Every animal you can think of actually does have it happen. And so again, I don't think we should be looking to animals and for how to respond to our behavior, but if you can't make that argument that it's not natural because you don't see it in nature. We see it all the time. It's actually the whole joke about populating like rabbits, breeding like rabbits. So there was one study that showed that rabbits actually might owe their survival and whatever, and their population control to the amount of gay rabbits within their midst. So you're welcome.
Exactly. And yeah, you said it, man. Amen to that. And also a quick thing, quick little story. I have a quick story on Michael Jordan's anger. And I saw this they talked about it on Sports Injury. One time he was in a locker room with Bill Cartwright, who was a center for the first 3 championships for the Bulls.
Yeah. And
Michael Jordan was getting on him, telling him how bad he was and stuff. And Bill pulled him to the side, and he said to him, listen, if you ever talk to me like that again, you will never play a game of basketball ever, because I'm going to break both your damn legs. Now, Michael Jordan is not a punk.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gotten into a few scraps. Of course, there's one where he scratched Reggie Miller on his face, and he didn't. There was the one where he had one of the Knicks players. I think it was. My brother will probably tell me this. He's probably going, "Oh, yeah, thanks a lot, idiot. You're telling the story. You don't remember the player." But he had one of the Knicks players he was hit him on the head or something with a ball or something, and Michael was just grabbed him with his by the waist, and he was just going like this, going. So yeah, Michael has kind of lost his temper a few times. It's hard to tell because you see him in corporate America, he's got the suit and stuff like that, but he's but I guarantee if they had kept him on, if Nike had kept him on,
if Nike had kept Pacquiao on,
and they started the protest and the Nike sales were going down, Michael Jordan would be like, what the fuck? Fire this motherfucker. Fire him, please.
Right.
I got a new
brand of... storm the boardroom.
Yeah, he's like, I got a new pair of Jordans, and I need my money. Right. Trust me, you don't want to fuck with Michael Jordan's money. No. And now, that's a perfect segue to chew on this, and this is our last thing on the subject of when should a fight be stopped. Exactly. And this fight, we're looking at the Bob Sapp versus Kimo fight from K1, and I've seen this fight dozens of times on YouTube. It's an amazing fight. And you also just saw that fight,
yeah,
too.
exactly, I did. And this one's surprisingly short. We actually did not watch the highlights. We watched the entire thing.
Yeah, exactly.
A 2-rounder, which is good.
And of course, Kimo, old school UFC, fought Royce Gracie in UFC 3, lost, fought, Ken Shamrock at UFC 8, got choked out, he lost again. And Kimo was just a guy, he did MMA, he also did a little bit of kickboxing, and years before did a kickboxing match in K1 in Japan and lost. But this fight against Bob Sapp, it was just a straight up street fight. There was no technique, there wasn't even that much kicking. Bob Sapp was never much for kicking. He had no kicking techniques, even though they brought in Maurice Smith to help him be more of a technique guy, because he was just more power.
Right.
And, he had power. He could knock you out with his hands, but he just had no technique. It was just all muscle and power.
Right.
And that first round where, they were just swinging and swinging and swinging, and, those few times when Kimo, hit him, and then Bob Sapp was all like, and then, of course, in the second time he went down. I mean, after the second time, had he went down and was getting up, I would have stopped the fight. I would have just been like, no, stop. No, you're on Queer Street. No offense. No, sorry.
Where does that phrase come from?
Well, I personally, I don't know. It just means being knocked out, or being your head isn't clear or whatever. Personally, I don't really know where the origin of that came from. But yeah, he was clearly on Queer Street, and he it looked like he shouldn't have continued. But of course, continued on in the second round, and then Bob Sapp demolished Kimo and just beat the fucking shit out of him. So
I mean, Kimo, at least in the first round, he did seem to come back swinging a lot, and you were telling me that he was one that was kind of no technique. It was just Kimo was one with just no technique, but he was just a punching machine type of thing.
No, that was Bob Sapp.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, for Kimo, I mean, as a matter of fact, you remember that guy in one of the Austin Powers movie that had the hat, the hat thing. He recently died, throwing a hat, using it as a weapon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and who recently died. That was actually Kimo's trainer and mentor. They had because in the early UFC, he was training under him. His name was Joe San.
Okay.
And Joe San had this martial art called Joe Sando, which he said was a mixture of Taekwondo and Judo, and he named it after himself. And Kimo, of course, those two didn't really go far. In fact, the most famous thing of Joe Sando fighting was in UFC 4 when Keith Hackney was hitting him in the nuts 8 times. Joe Sando had him in a choke hold, and Keith Hackney was going to his nuts, and you're like, oh man,
right,
damn.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I guess yeah. So he didn't. So yeah, it was kind of clear he didn't have the technique, but I don't know. I don't think I would have actually stopped it at that point, because he came back up. It was. I mean, we've talked about this before. We've debated about this before. If the fighter looks ready, is he actually ready? That type of thing. And would you actually believe them if their reputation wasn't at stake, and if they were allowed to just tap out? I don't know, but I think he really was ready again at that point. He did get sapped, and there was 2 different times he was lying on the ground and gotten sapped, but yeah, I think when he got up after that first time at the end of the first round, it was to me, it looked like he really did want to keep going, and he really did have it in him to keep going. So it's surprising to me. I think I actually completely disagree with that. I wouldn't have stopped it at that point.
Yeah, I mean, because and plus, keep in mind, Bob Sapp had a glass jaw. I mean, if he had any more glass in his jaw, he would be a chandelier. I mean, sorry, Also, that was from Rocky V when they said about when Tommy Gunn won the title. The guy said, the fact that matter is Tommy Gunn fought a second-rate fighter with so much glass in his jaw, it ought to be used as a chandelier.
It's a good line.
Oh, yeah. But, Bob Sapp, his chin was made out of glass, man. He really couldn't take a punch. Mm-hmm. And, of course, I mean, yeah, he was a great attraction, and he actually beat the great Ernesto Hoost twice. But he never became, like, a world K1 kickboxing champion. He never became a Pride champion, and now he's just, losing fights and stuff like that. But, I mean, but on that night, I would have clearly stopped the fight if I was the referee. That I would have stopped it, doing all this. I mean, he really is, and plus he's, his weakness is also body shots, too. You hit him in the body.
Right.
I've seen him take body shots and go like,
Right. So I mean, yeah, he definitely looked sapped when he was down. But as soon as he was up each time, it looked like he was really ready again, and he had that fire, and he was just at it. So I agree with when they stopped it, when they actually did stop it at the end. He was starting to get up again, but not really, and so he was counted out. At that point, but so I would have stopped it then. I agree with that, but I don't agree with that. I would have stopped it after the first round. I think he definitely had what it took to keep going.
Well, yeah, I mean, but as we said, being a referee, you only have a split second to make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, but, Bob Sapp, clearly, I mean, great attraction, and he was, and also, just for those of you who don't know, yes, he is related to Warren Sapp, the NFL player. That's his cousin. In fact, after that fight, there was another video of after the fight, Mike Tyson got in the ring, and like they were trying to do a thing where, like Mike Tyson would come into K1 and challenge him. Yeah, I think this was after the Lennox Lewis loss or before the Lennox Lewis loss. I'll have to go back and look at it, but it would have been awesome. It was like, wow, Mike Tyson getting in a kickboxing ring.
Right. Right, exactly.
Yeah. And of course, now, you can watch, like I said, you can watch that fight on YouTube, and hopefully you can watch that fight on the UFC Fight Pass, because Glory Kickboxing, who owns the video library of the old K1 fights, they just signed a partnership deal with UFC Fight Pass.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so they're going to be airing the Glory Super Fights on Fight Pass, and you'll be able to watch some old kickboxing matches on Fight Pass as well in the UFC Fight Pass app. Yeah, you'll get like K1 Kickboxing, it's Showtime, and the Golden Glory Kickboxing, all the old kickboxing matches. So if you're a fan of kickboxing,
right,
you should definitely get the UFC Fight Pass for that.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's wrap it up there.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. And check us out on Bloody Knuckles TV on YouTube, and also go to facebook.com/the Beantown Beatdown.
Yep.
And comment and subscribe.
All right.
So,
from both of us at the Beantown Beatdown.
Yep. Matthew Barris.
Gabe Shamus.
Vios con Dios.